Hello, everyone. Welcome to this evening's webinar for Money Matters. We're so glad to have you all joining us. And while everyone gets logged in, I'm going to start going over some logistics. So, first, we do ask you to please make sure that your Zoom profile is showing both your first and last names, as well as your pronouns if you wish. This helps us get to know you a little bit better and also track attendance through this event. So if you're not quite sure how to check or rename that, you can do so through your Zoom toolbar. Just click on the Participants tab. A pop-up window should appear. Your name will be at the top of the list, and when you click on the three little dots next to your name, you should see the option to rename your Zoom profile as needed. We do also want you all to be aware this presentation is being recorded for educational and promotional purposes, and that recording will be available later on our YouTube account. And we'll share you some links and details about that YouTube account later. But if you don't wish to be part of that recording, you are welcome to leave your camera off. You can still fully participate without it on. Also, please know that captions and translation services are available throughout this event through your Zoom toolbar. You are welcome to enable those as needed. We do also ask everyone to please keep your microphones muted so we can all be able to easily hear the speaker. However, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share those at any point throughout this event through the Zoom chat box, and we will field and address any questions at the end of this event. We also ask everyone to please keep those comments and conversations respectful, civil, and clean so we can all have a great time together. Also, just as a friendly heads up, there will be a feedback survey that we ask you to complete towards the end of this event. That's going to be another way that we track attendance, but it's also going to be one of the ways that you can get entered in one of our prize opportunities. So there's actually a couple different ways that you can win prizes throughout tonight. First is by following us on our social media, and we will select two winners, one who follows each of our accounts for the First Year Experience Program, as well as the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. You can win a bundle of goodies from Pima Community College, as well as one AZ Credit Union. So look for us on Instagram and X with the handles Pima FYE, as well as pima.financialaid.scholarships. And again, if you participate in the entire event and complete our feedback survey before you go, then you will also have an opportunity to win a $150 tuition award. And we will contact and win those winners after this event. But that's something that you can apply towards your next semester's courses at Pima. So good luck. Now, I also want to give a shout out to the team that helps develop and prepare this event. So, it is brought to you by Pima's First Year Experience Program, and I am part of that team. I am Renee Forsyth, as well as Pima's Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, including the lovely ladies Ana Brown, Juanita Bonias, Carla Gonzalez, and Simara Duarte. And then from One AZ Credit Union, a big shout out and many thanks to Gianna and Michael. In fact, they're going to be the ones who are leading the bulk of tonight's presentation, which is going to be teaching you about budgeting and saving. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share and hand the microphone over to them.
Thank you, Renee. We really appreciate the introduction. Like Renee had said, my name is Michael Moreno. I'm with 1AZ Credit Union, and I also have Gianna here who is going to be helping me with the slideshow. Again, we want to thank you guys for being here this evening. We're very excited to be working with you today. But like Renee said, we are going to be talking about how to reduce your spending and simplify your finances. So if everybody's ready, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. So firstly, we are going to go ahead and start with how to reduce your spending. All right. So what we want to do is we want to ask ourselves, what is our primary financial goal right now? It is important that we ask ourselves this question because we want to know what we're trying to accomplish. We need to have a clear understanding of what it is that we want to do and where we want to be financially. Setting that goal for yourself is going to help guide you where you need to be. You might ask yourself how much you reduce your spending. When it comes to spending, we know ourselves better than anybody else and what prompts us to spend at any given moment. So, what are some of the ways that you can help reduce your spending in your day to day? Do you think it's something that you could implement tomorrow, a week from now, maybe in a month later? Um, why do we spend what we spend? Is it a need that we're spending for, or is it a want that we're spending for? Some examples that we do like to show and go over is the costly C's. Again, as you guys can see, there's a whole list of things that start with C that can cost us money, and most of the times, money that we haven't even budgeted for. Whether it's shopping for clothes, our car payment, getting our daily fix of coffee, going to see a movie, getting carry out. For those of us that have kids, expenses for them, their sports, even medical expenses. All of that can add up and turn out to be a pretty penny. So how much is it costing us, right? Here's an example. Again, the numbers don't really reflect what today's numbers are because we know 750 might get you a meal. But for this exercise, if we were to spend $7.50 a day on carryout, and we do that 5 times a week, well, we're spending about $37.50 a week, right? Over a month's time, that's costing us 150 bucks. Now, if you look at the year, we're spending $1,800 on carry out for the week. Most of us work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Again, if we have a lunch break for 30 minutes and can only grab something and come back, you can see what it's costing us just in that little bit of time that we have. Now, if you look at it and make that adjustment, it doesn't have to be significant, but by reducing that by going 3 times a week, well, now you're spending $22.50 for that week. You spread that out for the month, now it's only $90. Well, now yearly you're saving and only spending about $1,080, keeping almost $700 in your pocket. What could you use that for? Those are the things that we want to start addressing and realizing that, hey, this is going to affect me down the road. Another costly C that most of us know about and have heard about are credit cards. It's really easy to charge a credit card because, again, it's credit that's been given to you, right? And we have our credit card information on a lot of what we do in our day-to-day. Mobile apps, subscriptions that we have, automatic payments. If we go out of town and travel, more often than not, we're using a credit card for those purchases, right? So those can start to build up over time and again, accrue a pretty penny just because we have the plan of paying it later. Again, a lot of what we have for credit cards are instantaneous. How many of us have the tap to pay feature? You just use your fingerprint and all right, your payment has been confirmed. So again, Amazon is notorious for it. A couple other websites, Netflix, again, it's just the tap of a button makes the accessibility really hard to save money, right? So along with that, we want to recognize and reframe our habits. If we're used to going to Amazon and spending because we have money, how can we change that to where we're doing it that's going to benefit us? Again, it is a form of shopping. Groceries can be made from there. But we all have our habits and our routines that, affect our money. So with reforming habits and doing these kind of transactions, we don't want to focus on banning bad habits. It's a process. What we want to do is we want to recognize why we do what we do and work towards changing that. Change, as long as you're making progress, is what the goal is. Along with that, how do we track that? Do we track our expenses with a tracker? Do we have a mobile app that we use? Do you have a spreadsheet that you have created? Are we old school? Do we write it down on a paper? Do we use a billfold, right? Do we just write it down and make sure that, okay, I've gone through all of this and compared it to my statement? Tracking our expenses is what's going to really help differentiate how much we're saving a month compared to how much we're spending. A huge one that can help save money, and one that usually is out of sight and out of mind, is to cancel subscriptions. Most of us have several apps on our phones that do require some sort of subscription or the other. Here are a few that we have. We have Netflix, HelloFresh, we have Amazon, we have Pandora, Hulu, Spotify. All of these are subscriptions that we have in our day to day that can add up over time. I know I can speak from experience that um, Netflix, I don't ever know when it comes out, but I know that I still have Netflix running. How often we watch it, that's another story. But it's something that I need to be better about when I'm budgeting my monthly expenses, because it's just one that has come out for as long as I can tell. Um, and again, many a times we're unaware of the changes. Most of the times, I remember Netflix started out at $10.99, and now I think it's probably around $15, $16. Did we account for that? Was it something that we just allowed to happen? So again, managing these and knowing exactly what's being charged to our accounts is going to be huge in saving us money in the long run. And here's a little challenge. What we want to do is we want to identify the kind of subscriptions that we have. How many of them do we have? Do we need them? Is it something that I can do without? But if we're able to identify all of the subscriptions that we do have, we're going to be in a much better space because we know what's going on. Knowing is, again, 90% of the battle when it comes to our finances. Then what we want to do is we want to evaluate. What is it that we can part ways with? Have we used it in the last 30 days? Is it redundant? Do I have another service that already does this? Can I share the cost with somebody? Is there a family plan that's going to take some of that weight off of me? And again, is it actually worth it? And am I getting what I want out of the app when I first got it, or that subscription? If not, then the best way that we can say is let it go. Cancel that subscription before it auto renews, so you can start to see that money come back into your pocket, into your account. So then you can designate that former expense to something else. Again, the goal is to get your financial wellness in line, right? We want to benefit from canceling these subscriptions. So let's put it somewhere to use. Another way that we can save money is unsubscribe. There's a lot of subscriptions that we're all a part of. I know throughout the day, there's probably a million notifications that we get from the different apps that we have, right? We can go in and we can hide those notifications. We can limit the amount of notifications we see. If you get a notification that says 20% off if you shop here now, more often than not, we're going to want to check and see what's on sale, right? Prompting us to want to spend. Again, if we can limit that, we're going to get to our financial goals a lot faster than where we were before. Deleting payment data. Again, we have our card saved on our phones for that instantaneous purchase. Ordering food online, ordering through Amazon. If we delete that payment data to have to repurchase, we have to make that decision. Do I want to enter my card again? Do I want to do this? Is it a purchase that I can afford to make right now? And that leads into reduce the amount of decisions you have to make. We make about 35,000 decisions per day. What do we got to wear? Who needs to get where at what time? What are we going to eat for the day? Not only that, what's going on in our social media? What's happening? Do I need to respond to this? Do I need to respond to that? All of this can lead to decision fatigue. And as you guys know, when we're tired, we tend to not make the best kind of decisions, right? So if we can reduce the amount of decisions we have to make throughout the day, the better it is going to be on our finances, because we're not going to be as willing to make that tired purchase, right? That, oh, it's fine, I'll just deal with it the next day, right? So we want to kind of limit what goes on in our day to day so we can have that clearer mindset of, is this getting me to where I want to be and my financial goals? And change your view. Most of us have social media that we use, we check on the daily, if not hourly. How many social media ads do you guys see a day? I know I mentioned to my wife the other day that I was talking about a tonneau cover for my truck, and now all of a sudden there's Rough Country that's coming up on my ad saying, hey, look, we have this. How many of us have just mentioned that, and next thing you know, you're seeing an ad for it? This is what we're talking about. It's that constant seeing of these products that are prompting us to want to make a purchase. If we can limit those, if we can limit the amount of ads that we see, the better it is going to be for our pockets, the less of a decision we're going to have to make. Again, change your view. If you don't need to be on your social media, try and limit the amount of time that you are, because again, it's just going to come back and benefit your pockets. Now, most of us live in a home, an apartment, with some family. Here's just some things that you can do to kind of save on your monthly utilities. Um, Turn down the thermostat. A lot of us, like it at a certain temperature. Whether you run hot or you run cold, you know that sweet spot. But by turning that thermostat down, you're saving energy and you're putting more money in your pockets because it's not having to work as hard. Use energy efficient light bulbs. Again, any way that you can save energy and usage, it's going to come back and you're going to have less of a monthly payment on your utilities that you owe for the month. Unplug any electronics you have. I know it's hard, especially for me. We got a whole lot that goes on. But if you can manage to turn off the lights, unplug from the outlets, that's constant energy that's being run to power whatever it is, even without it being on. There's still that constant flow. Wash in cold water, use dryer balls so you're not having to constantly buy dryer sheets and always replacing those, regardless of how good they smell. And you can schedule an energy audit. If you really want to nail down what it is that's costing you money, an energy audit can help you identify ways that you can save in your day to day. Now, I've got a couple questions for you. Um, be honest with these when I read these to you, but I'm guilty of them. So, first question is have you ever walked into the grocery store and walked out with something you weren't planning to buy? Have you ever had to throw away food? And have you ever gone out to eat because you have no idea what you're going to make for dinner? Now, that last one I'm notorious for. It's my turn to have and make dinner. We're going to have some pizza or we're going to go have something, right? Something quick and easy. But again, it's not the best decision to make, but I have made that because of how my day to day has gone. Walking into the grocery store and walking out with something you don't need. Before I started making lists, oh, I was racking up that bill and it was not saving me money at all. But again, these are all questions that you want to ask yourself before you go into a place. After you leave, did I come and get what I needed, right? Did I leave with what I needed? Those are huge questions to ask to make sure that, hey, you're staying on track with what your plan is. And some ways that we can help, you know, reduce what we're buying. Look for what's on sale. Find out what's on discount. Use coupons, things of that nature. Once you find out what's on sale, you can now develop your meal plan. What is it that we're going to be doing? Are you going to be planning just for the day? I'm only going to buy a day's worth of stuff every day, or are we doing it for a week? If I buy for the week, I can then make a list of all the ingredients that I need to make my meal plan. I have a meal for every day of the week. I only need this amount of items. Once the next week hits, we do it all over again. And I did mention with the what's on sale, use coupons. Any way that you can save money, we want you to save money. We want that in your pocket so you can use that for something else that you have going on. And number 5, smart shopping. Most of us have a really good place that we like to go shopping at. You know your store. The big thing is when you're going in, go out. Know where your items are at that you need. Because again, once we start snaking through the store, more and more items start coming into that cart that you might not need. So again, it's just know where your things are at in your store, know your grocery store, because again, in the end, it's only going to benefit you. So that was a little bit about how to reduce your spending. Next thing that we're going to be getting into is talking about simplifying your finances, things that you can do to help break down everything else other than what you're spending, right? These are more of the musts. But before we get into that, how do you feel about budgeting? Is it something that you feel you could commit to? Do you think it would be something that is stressful? Is it easy? Um, Again, by the end of this, we want to make sure that you have a good idea that budgeting is there to help you. It's not a for sure plan, but it's a plan that can help you if you stick to it. And so with simplifying your finances, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to schedule a time to where you can review your finances. If we don't ever schedule the time to do something, right, does it really matter to us, or are we doing it just because it's a chore? When we schedule that time, we're dedicating that time to say, hey, I'm willing to make this commitment. I want to make that change. What is it that I need to do? So once you schedule that time, we then want to take inventory of everything that we have. Like we mentioned, there's several apps that we have. We have to pay this person. We have to pay this. We have to go here. Where do we keep our statements at? What passwords do we use? Do we have a password saver? Um, what is it that we can do to make that easier to access all that information when we need to pay it? And that leads into tracking it. How are we tracking it? We've mentioned it a couple times. Do we have a spreadsheet that we're using? Do we have an app that we have that is a budgeting app? Or are we writing it down? No one way is better than the other. What I want to emphasize is that whatever works best for you, do it, right? It's not going to be the same for no two people, but if it works best for you, work on perfecting that way for you, okay? Minimize accounts. Take inventory of what you currently have. Again, most of us have several accounts, depending on where we're at in our banking life. But see the ones that you need. If you can make do with one or two accounts, great. If you need a little bit more just because what you're comfortable with, again, that's fine too. But again, by minimizing what we have, there's less for us to really worry about what's going on elsewhere. It's more centralized. So we can say, hey, yep, this came out of this account. This came out of this account. I know I've been in the point where did it come out of? What did I use? Where do I have to focus my attention on? By minimizing that, like I said, it is just making sure that it's centralized so it's easier for you to follow and track those expenses. Not only with accounts, again, we touched a little bit on it. Credit cards can be costly. So if you can part ways with some credit cards, again, by all means do so. You can always obtain your credit report at annualcreditreport.com. So you can always check and see where you're at. Again, I believe you get the one free pool a year, but it's a good way to see where you're at. Credit Karma and the Experian app are great ways to see where your credit is, just in your day-to-day without pulling credit. But again, review your credit cards. See what it is that you have. Which one is your favorite one? Which one could you do without? What is it that we're trying to get to, right? What is our financial goal that we specified earlier? If it's to save and to spend less cards means you're less likely to spend on other cards because that availability is there for you. Now, we can't go too much into investment accounts, but if you are at a point in your life where you are in investments, just make sure that you're reviewing them. Again, you want to be on top of your finances and know where everything is at. If you can roll over accounts and make sure everything is, again, centralized and in a location where you're comfortable with, by all means do so. But the more you know where you have your things at, the more prepared you're going to be for simplifying your finances and reduce your spending. A great way to kind of on both ends simplify your finances and reduce spending is by creating a barrier. Um, there's plenty of temptations out there where we want to go and just do it, right? A good way that you can reduce that is by control spending. Carry one card at a time. If you're going out, make sure you have one card that I have the funds for. This is what it's designated for. This is its purpose. You're going to be more likely to save because you don't have that wide array of things to put it on, right? Minimize the locations that you go to. Do you really need to go to that store, or is it just an eye view and you want to stop by? More than likely, again, if we reduce our decisions, we're going to save money. But if we want to go to that store that's down the road, more than likely we're probably going to find something to spend it on. And pay your expenses on payday. By paying your expenses on payday, you're left with whatever you have to spend for the rest of that time until you get paid again. But paying your expenses on payday means, hey, that's taken care of. Your expenses that are your necessities, they're done with. You know what you have to work with. So now you can start planning, where am I designating this money? E-statements. Again, we talked a little about organization and knowing where we have everything. E-statements is a great way to keep everything organized. You don't have any risk of it being lost in the mail or stolen, which then would mean your information being compromised. I know fraud is going pretty strong right now across the board. So it's just one way to help reduce that. You can always access your e-statements at any given time. So you can always log into your bank account. What did I do for this past month? Credit cards, they have their own statements that you can get sent to you every month. There's a whole list of items that will send you a statement for whatever it is that you have. It also saves time. How many times have you guys had to call into the bank and say, hey, I need my statement for this because my complex needs it to verify that I have income coming in? If you had e-statements, it's there and ready to go. You don't have to wait on anybody else. And again, it's a way to stay organized. It's a way to keep everything together to where you know where it's at and keeping you in control. And unfortunately, we do have to talk about debt. At some point, we do all have to get into debt at some point or another, whether you're buying a mortgage, you have a car payment. We did talk about credit cards. Debt is a part of what we do in our day-to-day, our daily lives. But there are some ways that we can help with that debt. There is what's called consolidating your debt, which means you take your debt that you have across the board and you put it all under one loan. By doing so, you're eliminating all these payments that you're maybe trying to make the minimum or trying to do the most that you can at any given time, but your money is being spread out. It's not going right where you want it to be and actually making a dent on those. I know they say if you make the minimum, it'll get you onto the next month, but that doesn't account for the interest that is also added on whatever you're making the minimum to. So more often than not, it's taking you a lot longer to pay things as you have them dispersed. But if you're able to put it under one loan, now you can put all those payments together under one payment. Um, Again, it can extend your payoff time frame, right? Sometimes we're just like, how am I going to pay this? How am I going to do that? If you consolidate it and put it under one loan, now you know that all those loans or all those credit card debt that you had, you can all pay it all at once. And this is my due date, and that's what I'm going to be doing. And we do balance transfers, right? Let's say you qualify for a card and it has a 0% balance transfer fee for 24 months. That'd be a great deal. But do a balance transfer. Have that 0% interest on that so you can pay to that principal. You can save on that interest over time and really make a dent on paying that off. I did mention consolidation loans, just moving that all under one. You can even do a debt management plan. Work things out as to how am I going to pay this? How am I going to get this down low enough to where I feel comfortable now? So again, another question. What do you think is the biggest challenge in sticking to a budget? Budgets are not easy. Okay. I've done about 5 or 6 of them since I've started here at the credit union. And I can honestly tell you this is probably the most successful I've been. And this is on turn 6. So the challenge is for me is just being busy, just being consistent. Again, it is progress. We want to see progress and the effort, right? And as long as you're moving forward and getting closer to your goals, then you're doing it. Now, there are some great benefits to simplifying your finances. Automate those expenses. Your money goes where it's actually supposed to go when you do automatic payments. If you have a car payment due and it's on auto pay, you know when you get paid or when that due date is due, your money goes where it needs to go. Your bills are paid on time every month, and you're not having to worry about did it get paid. It's already done for you. And the third benefit is that you save money automatically by doing so. It might not show because you just spent that money for that bill or that expense, but you're not having to worry about a late fee. You're not having to worry about things that would happen if you didn't pay it on time, right? Keeping more money in your pockets for the potential what if. Again, automated expenses. There's several things that we can do to automate it, right? We can put our utility bills on auto pay every month, even though that might change depending on your utility usage. They'll take it out of that debit card or your checking account or your credit card. And then it is just your responsibility if it's on a credit card to repay that back. Your house payment coming right out of the checking account. You know it's taken care of. You're still in your house another month and you don't have to worry about another late fee. Savings account. You can actually set up an automatic transfer to a savings account, whether it's from your direct deposit or from the account itself. You can set it up to where you're paying yourself before you pay your bills. And that is a great way to start building a nice little goose egg for you down the road. Insurance. We all have to have insurance, right? Vehicle, all that, right? Whatever we have, it's got to be insured, ourselves included. So if you guys have that on auto pay, you know you're being taken care of. You don't have to worry about that expense. Once that bill is taken out, you know what you have left to work with. Use designated accounts. Have a designated savings account. Have a designated bill pay account. Have a designated spending account. By designating accounts for your usage, you know where your money's going. Put money away into your savings for a rainy day or an emergency. Use your bill pay just for your bills, whether it comes out automatically or you manually pay that bill. That account is solely for that purpose. And a spending account. We talked about at the end of the day making your expense or paying your bills to where you know what you have at the end of that. Let's say you have extra left over by the next time you get paid. Put that money away in a spending account so you know you can save up for that vacation. So you can save up for that purchase that you've been looking for or wanting for months now. But by putting that money into a spending account, you know this is what I can use and feel guilt-free about because you earned that. You put that away for you. You've already put into your savings. You've already taken care of your bills. This is for you. And again, we want to reward ourselves for what we're doing. And again, we want to know what type of financial advice are you most looking for? It's very important to us here at the credit union that we help you reach your financial goals. We're here for anything that you guys need and any question. Doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is, as long as we're helping you in some way, we're doing our part. But what financial advice are you looking most for? And again, my name is Michael Moreno, and Gianna is my helper. We're with 1AZ, and these are just some of the services that we do offer with us. Okay, like I said, we are here to make sure we're getting you guys where you want to be, whether it's talking about credit, whether it's talking about finances, savings. We're here for you. And again, these are just some of the business and products that we do offer. We have also partnered with GreenPath Financial Wellness. That's where we got most of the information on, along with what we've worked on, but it helps provide education and tools for people to lead financially healthy lives. And again, that's in line with what we're trying to do for our members. We do have a lot of information on our website as well that you're more than welcome to use at any time. It is a free service. So feel free to go look, check it out. There's budgeting tools, there's how to save, a whole how to read your credit, a whole list of things for you just to benefit you. So again, thank you guys for letting us present today. We are going to be running a Zoom poll now of some of the questions that we did run over through the slide. So please take a moment to answer a few of the questions that we're going to be launching through Zoom here shortly.
Just to remind everybody, there's about 5 questions, so make sure you scroll down on the poll so you can answer all 5.
And once we see that an ample amount of people have answered, we'll go over a couple of those questions and kind of touch base on some of those, and then we'll get into the questions after the fact. All right, so I'm just going to start from the top and work down. Please feel free to continue answering the questions because again, it is important that we do see this. So again, so we know how to better help in the future when we do have more of these presentations. So question number 1 that you guys saw at the beginning of the slide was, What is your primary financial goal? It looks like almost a split between paying off debt and investing for the future. Again, great things to want to know about. Paying off debt, like I said, is something that we do run through daily. And unfortunately, it is with us for the rest of our life. So, and investing for the future. What can we do to help prepare us and get us better set for the future so we're ready for anything that does come to us? Tracking expenses. This one is a great one because, again, we have so much at our disposal that we can use to track. Everything that we mostly see is all automated, and we have digital versions of this and that. But it looks like we are also almost even split where we have manually or do not track them, but we also have some of you that do have it through an app that helps you budget and see what you guys have going on. Again, the purpose is to start, right? Once we start and develop a plan that works for us and really start reviewing what we have, the better it is that we're going to be and the more that we're going to have saved. And then how do we feel about budgeting? It's great to see that the most answered one is love it. It's empowering, and that's exactly it. You feel good when you hit that milestone. Feel good when you've done the one thing that you've been trying to do for months, maybe even years. Um, and again, I can also sympathize with the next one. It's necessary, but it's not fun. It's work, and we all work every day, right? It's another thing that we have to add. And yes, it can be confusing, overwhelming, and again, if you want to avoid it, more power to you because again, it is scary and anything new does take work. So again, if you want to take that step, it's just taking that first step. What is the biggest challenge in sticking to a budget? We do have this one's a pretty even across the board, but unexpected expenses takes the cake, but that's exactly right. Something coming up, an emergency that puts that wrench in there, and now you have to kind of figure everything else out, right? Impulse spending, like I said, reduce the amount of decisions we have to make, right? If we're just out shopping just to shop, that item's going to look really nice. And income, right? We got to make sure that we have enough income to support what we're doing. What can we do to help that income? What can we shave off to free up some more money? And it's okay if you don't know where to begin, right? There's a whole lot of tools, like we mentioned, that you can use to get you headed in the right direction. And then what type of financial advice are you most looking for? So how to create a budget. Again, we did kind of go over budgeting a little bit. There is a budgeting tool that we have on our website that you're more than welcome to check out. You can list everything that you have there. And how to save more effectively. I would say that's huge because, again, saving is something that we all want to do. At some point or another, we want to put money away for ourselves, for the future. But again, it's effectively doing so that's not going to break our bank, right? Where we can still put money away and be satisfied. How to reduce debt is a great one as well. Again, I can't speak too much on investing, but reducing the debt, reducing what you have. What can you put all under one to free up more money that you're just throwing away at other places? But that is all the questions that we had for the poll. So again, I do appreciate you guys answering those. Thank you. And now we're going to turn it over to Carla.
All right, everyone. Thank you, Michael and Jenna, for the valuable information you provided. It's great. Definitely some of those tips I always need to keep in mind. So before we move to the Q&A segment, we have some resources to share with links to key information from today's session that are being posted in the chat. I know there's been a lot of questions in the chat about where you can find these recordings. This session will be shared later on, but we will share that as it has been shared, and we will continue sharing that information with you. So please feel free to check them out. And with that, now on to one of my favorite parts, which is the Q&A session. So we've got some great questions from our attendees, and the 1AZ team is ready to provide their insight once again. So the first question is, let's see, drum roll. All right, great questions, by the way. Here we go. So where can I get a consolidation loan was one of the first questions.
I'll go ahead and take that first one. So a consolidation loan you can get at any establishment like a bank, things like that, where if you have a primary financial institution that you like and that you use, I highly recommend going there first. Your bank is supposed to be there to help you get to where you want to be. We do offer them at 1AZ, but if again you're not a member, we want to get you to be a member so we can do those things for you. But I would always recommend going to your primary financial institution, tell them, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. What can we do to get this consolidated? What are some ways that we can do so? And they should be able to lay everything out there for you and explain beginning to end what it all entails.
Thank you, Michael. If you don't mind, I'll just share a little bit more on the student loan side of things. If you do have a student loan with the Department of Education and would like to consolidate your student loans, you would want to contact the Department of Education to do so as well. So just a little bit, depending on what it is that you're trying to consolidate as well. Awesome. All right. So there's a question about how does bankruptcy work and who qualifies? Um, there are those of us that have some trouble having a savings due to low income and difficult times. So what do you recommend?
And I'll take this one just because, again, it is talking about a little bit about bankruptcy. But if you can avoid bankruptcy, again, it's recommended that you do so. Because bankruptcy, again, you're having someone go in and really take care of everything for you, right? And it does have a negative effect on your credit report. So if there are some ways that you can figure out how to get ahead or how to manage that course, right? I'd recommend doing so. Again, it's not going to be easy and it's probably going to be a long road, but again, talk with your financial institution, see what they can do for you. Come in and talk to us. We'll see if we can help you with that. But when it does come to bankruptcy, we do have to refer that out because we really don't deal with that. That's something that's outside of what we normally do. But the more information that you can find out about it, the better. If it is something that ultimately works for you, then again, that's a decision you have to make. But if you can try and get by without doing so, the better.
Thank you. All right. Another question. Which tools are most useful for tracking income and spending? Apps, Excel, software subscription, um, new to tracking closely, so looking for some helpful hints.
Yeah, it's really your personal preference. Everybody's a little bit different. Personally, I use an Excel sheet that I got off of Etsy, which you never would have probably imagined, but it was cute and it had everything I needed on it. And it even has a little pie chart to tell me what I'm spending. So that works for me. Some people, a lot of people I know, just like pen and paper. We still have members who come into the branch that write down every single check they write, all of their bills and all of their income. And if that works for you, that's great. There's also plenty of apps. I believe someone put in the comments which app that they used. So maybe check that one out. But really, it's just trying them out, seeing what works best for you. There's plenty of ways to do it. Like I mentioned, I just love Excel. So that's the way that I went. But whatever works best for you, really.
Great, thank you, Jana. And also, just there's a lot of free resources out there, so it also helps to seek those resources too, like Jana mentioned. Awesome. So another question that we have from our group today is, what do you recommend for people who want to start saving but also need to get out of debt?
That's a really good question. What I would recommend doing is if you're starting out but still looking to get out of debt, put down, like we said, put a list of what you have. What are your monthly expenses? What could you potentially take care of relatively soon that can help free up some money so you can start putting that into a savings? We all have minimum payments on certain bills that we have. The thing that you're going to want to do is you either focus on taking out the high interest one first or the lowest balance first. If you take out the one with the lowest balance, you're going to free up that payment, right? And I'm sure everybody's heard of that snowball effect, but then apply it to the next one. Once you clear that up, well, now you have more money where I can now put some money away for a rainy day and start saving. And now I'm ahead of where I was. But list out everything that you have, find out where you can save. And again, what does your day-to-day look like? Are you going out? What are you using your funds for? And the more you're able to identify where it's going, the more often than not that you're going to be able to put a stop to it really quick and really start designating, okay, I'm making this payment. I'm going to do more so I can get rid of it. And now I can save that monthly payment into my savings, right? We do have some members that, like I mentioned earlier, pay yourself before you pay your bills, right? You want to make sure you're earning something. So if you can afford to pay yourself a little percentage of what you're earning, it's something, right? It doesn't have to be the world. It just has to be something to where you can say, hey, I started and this is where I want to be and work to where you want to be.
Great, thank you. So another question is, what does budgeting look like for someone who just started living on their own?
For just starting off, it may be hard at first, but that's okay and that's perfectly normal. Whenever you start to budget, again, like I mentioned, you got to find how you want to budget. Like Mike had mentioned earlier, you can even set up automatic transfers to your savings account if you're wanting to keep that set with a exact number. I know things like utilities might be different every month, but things like rent, car payment, those will be the same number every month, which will make it a lot easier for you. But just getting down and writing down every income, which may be one or two, how whatever your situation is, and every single expense, because every dollar really does count. I know we've probably all had that situation where we look at our account, we're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know Netflix was going to come out today, because you may not track little expenses like that, but they all do add up. So what I would recommend is just writing down, again, every income and every single expense and the due dates. That way you know exactly when everything is going out and you're prepared for it.
Great,
To
thank
piggyback off of that really quick, calendar apps, right? Make sure you have everything written down. When is that due date, like Gianna said? Make sure that you have it somewhere visible where you can constantly see this is what I have due. And again, budget that out, like Gianna said. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew calendars are still great. We all have one on our phone. If you have one on the wall, great, because at least you can pass by and say, hey, I've got that there.
Thank you. That's great. So, a little bit more questions about saving. And should you continue to consistently put money into an emergency fund after you save for about 3 to 6 months worth of expenses?
Yes, you can never save enough because there might be that one time where that particular expense for that emergency is way more than what you ever thought it would be. And again, that emergency fund is there for you if you need it, and it can be for any little thing. Let's say, debt does become too high, but you have this emergency fund where you can use to get out of that debt. That's what it's there for, right? It's not restricted to, it's only for medical, it's only for this, it's only for that. That is there for you. So you feel comfortable with, hey, if anything does come my way, I'm ready. I can use it at any time and know that I can use the same steps that I did to get there to put it back. Again, you've already developed that habit of, I've put money away, I've saved this much. If I have to use it, I can do the same thing again.
Yeah, and you know what they say, when it rains, it pours. You don't know what can happen. But one thing I would recommend is a high interest earning account, savings account, whether it's for an emergency or vacation, because the more you put in there, the more money you're earning, and it's just paying you. So it doesn't hurt to have extra savings. The only reason why I would recommend not to do so is if it's hurting you with your regular day to day. If you're not able to go to Walmart and buy groceries because you're saving too much, then maybe, you should evaluate that. But
Mhm.
other than that, there's no reason not to save as much as you can. It's great to have. And then, like I said, again, if you put it in an account, that's going to earn you extra interest. I know 1AZ has a Propel account that earns 5%. It's you just paying yourself. So who doesn't like money?
Great. Yes, definitely. If you can pay yourself a little bit, make money on your own money, that's great. One of our attendees asked, can I open an account online with 1AZ Credit Union?
Yes, you're more than welcome to do it online. One of our members or one of our associates will be able to pick that up and we'll get in contact with you. We want to make sure that we go over all the information, make sure that everything is correct. So, like I said, we can better serve you. If you want to become a member of ours, we are more than happy to have you. And it's as easy as going online and applying there.
Great. Thank you. And where do they go online?
So you can go to our website, 1azcu.com. It'll have the whole homepage. It'll ask you if you're a member. It has all kinds of links that you can start out there, but you can definitely apply on that site.
Awesome. Thank you. Another great question is it true that you should limit your credit card usage to around 25% and not coming close to the limit?
Yes, yeah, I definitely recommend under 30% is what you want to stay at. Ideal scenario is that you pay it off before the due date, because if you have it paid off by the end of the cycle, then you're not paying interest on it. But if it goes past that, then you are paying interest on your last month's balance. So it does add up, and credit cards can either be the best decision you ever decide to do or the worst, because it all depends on how strict you are with them. But yes, because one of the things that affects your credit score is your credit card usage. And if you have one maxed out, that will really hurt your score. So yeah, my magical number that I tell members is stay under that 30%. So 25% would be great. But then again, in an ideal scenario, paying it off before the cycle ends, save yourself some money. You can even use a rewards credit card. So it's earning you money and you're not paying interest.
Thank you. And a little bit more about credit cards. How many credit cards should a, say, normal person have? Meaning someone who's not rich.
I'll go ahead and take that. So, like Gianna said, if you have one credit card and let's say your limit is 10,000, to keep it under the 30% usage, you're going to be looking around 3,300 some dollars that you could potentially use, right? And have your credit score go up. Now imagine if you have another credit card open that again has a $10,000 balance, but you don't have any usage on it. So what that card is going to do is it's going to counteract what you have on that first card. So it's going to average out the usage that you have, making your total credit limit very low. It's going to lower it even further because you have a whole card that you're not using and that's benefiting you, right? When we start you putting balances on that card, that's when you're going to start to see that score start to dip because now wait, you have usage on both. We're taking both into consideration. Okay. If you can keep both cards under 30%, your score is still going to trend up, but it's not going to be as significant as if you had one with no balance and one with the balance under 30%. It's going to help counteract. So it's truly whatever you can handle. I can't speak for anybody else. I know I have several, but it's managing what you're using them for. Do you have one that's for a bill card that you know you're paying your monthly expenses every month? I have a travel card that whenever I travel, that's the only card that I use because I earn dollars on it and well, traveling's expensive, so I'm getting more dollars off of it. But it just depends on what works best for you. A good couple cards, like we mentioned in the slides, wouldn't hurt anybody. It's just making sure you're able to manage your usage.
Great. And I think just one more question, the last question for the evening is, what about increasing your credit limit? How often can you do that?
So whenever you do have a credit card, the bank or credit union that it's with will sometimes increase your limit if you're using it correctly. But then you can also apply to get it increased. But just keep in mind whenever you do that, it is a credit pull and it is going to go in as a new application. So I wouldn't recommend doing it too often unless you really need it or you feel that your credit or your income has gone up that you can qualify for more. I couldn't give you, Mike, what would you say for time wise once a year or?
It really depends. How does your situation look in that year? You know, did things happen to you? Is it looking like a pretty nice year for you? It depends on the situation because what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to increase that limit when it makes sense, right? You don't want to overload yourself with more debt that you could potentially rack up than what you could actually handle. So if it makes sense for you to do a credit increase, then by all means request it. Like Gianna said, it would be an inquiry. It would be another application to see, well, what can we qualify for you now, right? Then that's when you can take into consideration, well, does it make sense for me to do so now? How much is the increase going to be for me that I qualify for now? Has my credit score changed from the last time that I did anything? All of these factors play into that. Just because you have the card doesn't mean that you're guaranteed an increase, right? Score your credit score from whatever else you have going on too, right? That does affect the potential limit that you can be given. So whatever works best for you, if it makes sense, then by all means do so. But just make sure it does make sense. You don't want to overload yourself and feel like you can't ever get out of that debt.
Thank you. And once again, a huge thanks to our 1AZ team for their expertise today. And now Renee has some exciting news to share.
Ah, yes. Well, first, before I announce our lucky prize winners, we want to remind you all to please complete our feedback survey. Again, that's going to be what allows us to send you your certificate of completion for attending this event. That will be sent to you by 1AZ Credit Union. And also, it will enter you in a drawing to win the $150 tuition award, which can be applied to next semester's courses at Pima. So that link is shared in chat. Please make sure you get that survey completed. But I do want to go ahead and announce our lucky prize drawing winners for those who followed us on our social media accounts for the first year experience program, as well as the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. So congratulations to Isabella Fox and also Desire Hogbin de la Ruse. Congratulations. You have won the prize bundle that you see photographed on the screen. You can look forward to receiving that in the mailing address that you have on your Pima account in the next few weeks. Congratulations and enjoy. And I also want to go ahead and thank all of our partners who participated today. And for more information, there's a lot of questions about where can we watch this recording or where can I get information about future events. To watch the recordings from this and other presentations, make sure you go to our YouTube page at Pima Student Engagement, and we will share that information with you again in chat. The tuition award winner, once you've completed that survey, will be contacted by email in the next few weeks. So pay attention to those email accounts and good luck. Also, again, one more shout out to 1AZ Credit Union and their website that you can go to for more information. That link will again be shared in chat, but you can go to 1azcu.com for more information about their services and support beyond this event. We want to thank you so much for attending this Money Matters event. We hope that you found great value in the information shared today and that you enjoyed everything we discussed. Please remember that we will be back in spring for more Money Matters sessions. Check out the details and dates for more information on the events webpage for the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships, as well as Pima Engage. Links to those sites are provided in the Zoom chat. Also, if there are topics that you would like for us to cover at a future Money Matters event, let us know in that feedback survey. Again, by completing that survey, we will send you that certificate of completion within the next few weeks. But otherwise, thank you to everyone who attended. A huge shout out to our partners and, of course, everyone who joined us tonight. If you would like to follow up with us for more information or additional questions, on the screen is our contact information, and for convenience, those links will also be shared in the chat. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you all again next semester. Until that next event, take care, everyone. Have a great night and keep striving.